The Toronto Raptors just won Game 1 of the NBA Finals, the first ever to be played in Canada. Pinch me, I must be dreaming, right?
The Raptors have the game's most understated all-star on the court and music's best-selling artist losing it courtside. This is unprecedented.
It feels like the whole country is suddenly cheering for this team, including me. And I just found out who Kawhi Leonard was like a month ago. I'm Stacey Lee Kong, freelance writer and editor.
I'm Donovan Bennett, host and staff writer for Sportsnet.
I'm Kathleen Newman-Bermang, staff writer with Refinery 29. I've loved this game all my life, and right now, everyone's all about the Raptors, but how many of you are going to stick around?
Right now, I'm all about being in this moment and being part of this amazing ride.
We the North isn't just a marketing slogan. There's real pride behind it. Basketball was invented in Canada, and while hockey is a sport that defines us, we're getting closer to the point where that's no longer the case.
So you are all, obviously, excited about the Raptors, and so I'd like to hear what this series, and especially last night's win, means to you. And let's start with Kathleen.
Well, I'm wearing my Raptors red, as you can see, and it's hard to put into words what it all means because it means everything. I'm so excited. I get teary-eyed last night when some of the OG players like Damon Stoudemire and Del Curry and Tracy McGrady were all there. It just reminded me of the childhood I spent growing up loving the Raptors and that it's been 24 years in the making.
That is fantastic to hear. Interesting to hear how emotional it makes you. Donovan, are you getting teary-eyed?
No, my tear ducts are fine. I'm a working professional. There is no cheering in the press box. But no, I'm actually really happy for the fan base and for the city. And a lot of the fans are so young, they can't really remember an existence when the Raptors weren't good or didn't exist. But for the ones that can, the Raptors used to be the team you cheered for in Canada until they lost. And then you cheered for your American team, the Bulls or the Celtics or the Lakers. And now you can have nice things. You can have both. So this entire week, the entire playoffs has really been a celebration that for once the Raptors are part of the conversation at the biggest stage.
Now, Stacey, you openly describe yourself as a bandwagon jumper.
I'm owning it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what is it that on this ride to the finals that kind of prompted you to jump on that bandwagon?
Everyone seemed like they were having a really good time. Honestly, like when you were talking about realizing finally that, this team is really amazing and all of that is absolutely true, and I respect the skill and the athleticism, but really it just felt like I wanted to be part of something super fun. The vibe in the city is amazing. People are so excited. People are getting teary-eyed. I'm not actually getting teary-eyed, although I'm yelling at the TV a lot, which is a new thing for me. I don't totally know who I am anymore. It's just fun.
That is a very interesting point, and I think for Canadians across the country, a lot of people live in cities where their NHL teams have played in the Stanley Cup Finals over the last few years, and it is one of the cool things about as a team gets closer to the championship or a chance to win the championship, more and more people get interested, and so the bandwagon jumpers are absolutely part of the experience. Also part of the experience, of course, is Jurassic Park just outside Scotiabank Arena. Those of us not in Toronto watch and marvel. And it's not just in downtown Toronto. There's something like, I think, more than 20 Jurassic Parks across the country, including this one in Halifax. Let's take a look.
What do you think about this? Haligonians getting together and watching it like their own Jurassic Park.
Oh, it's good stuff. Halifax is a big basketball town. We're glad to see the big show. Let's go Raptors.
That is Colleen Jones there from CBC Halifax asking the questions. Donovan, how does that make you feel to see those pictures from Halifax and also somebody describing Halifax as a basketball town?
Well, I think it's important when we talk about this team, we mention that they're not Toronto's team, they're the country's team. And after the Grizzlies are now gone, Canada has really wrapped the flag around them. And I think it was instructive that they changed the colors from purple to red to embody that. And so whether it's the Maritimes and producing a player like Carl English, or obviously BC producing a player like Steve Nash, the entire country has been part of the basketball conversation. So I love to see the 27 watch parties from around the country. And even in Cineplexes, people are paying to watch the game in a theater with other people. I never thought I would see this in our country, but I love it.
Yeah, I was talking on Twitter earlier today about how this is one of those shared experiences, and we get fewer and fewer of those on television as you get fragmented media, people watching streaming and that sort of thing. Somebody grumpily replied, well, I'm out in Vancouver. I don't see everybody watching it. Well, I'm in Vancouver too, and I'll tell you, people in the newsroom, you can hear them. It's a noisy newsroom. They're talking about the Raptors. Stacey, how does that make you feel, that sense of a shared experience with other people?
I love that. That's what I'm here for. I'm here for the shared experience. I'm here for feeling like I'm part of something. And it's also really nice too, I think, because I don't necessarily, like, there's a reason that I'm not bandwagon. There are several reasons why I'm not bandwagon jumping for the Leafs. There's the obvious one, but there's also that I don't necessarily see myself represented in that fan base, in that fan culture. And I do see myself represented in basketball,
And
which
Kathleen,
I think is a different thing.
Kathleen, jump in.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Stacey brings up a great point in that the Raptors have always been a team that I could look to and feel represented by in Canada, which is still a hockey country. So when we talk about Canada jumping on the bandwagon of this team, this is still Toronto's team. And I think we do need to make a distinction between Toronto and the rest of Canada, and how many people are still going to be supporting this city and not talking trash about this city when this team, God forbid, isn't winning like it is.
You don't have to draw a distinction between Toronto and the rest of Canada. I think the rest of Canada likes drawing that distinction
did that
all
already.
the time.
Exactly, but that's what I'm saying. So for now to be like, we're all this holding hands, coming together country where everybody loves Toronto, I don't think that that's true.
Lots of people love the Raptors now, though, that's for sure. And Donovan, you have a thoughtful take on the Raptors as a team that, not just Toronto's team, but the team that reflects Toronto.
Yeah, maybe the rest of the country may not like Torontonians, but they could like the players on this team, because in a way, I do think the franchise at this point represents the country in the way that they are. Their advisor, Wayne Embry, the first African-American GM in the NBA, Masai Ujiri, the first African-born president. They have women working in the front office and on the basketball ops, and even on the court. A player from Taiwan, a couple players from Africa and from the UK. It's not just tall Americans playing for a Canadian team. Serge Ibaka is talking to Pascal Siakam in French and Marc Gasol in Spanish. That's incredibly multicultural, and it really sounds like something that would happen for a team in this country. And so that diversity on the court represents the diversity in our country and the diversity of that fan base, which is why I think we are seeing a lot of new Raptors fans across the country.
All right, let's talk about the elephant at courtside. Drake, his antics has gotten so much attention. He's always entertaining. Let's look at a clip from him at Jurassic Park.
We have the best player. We have the best fans in the whole NBA, in the whole world. Look around you. Look at this. We created this.
Love him. I say let Drake be great. Listen, aside from all of the cultural significance of the Raptors and everything we just mentioned about that amazing multiculturalism that represents Toronto, it is entertainment. And Drake is being entertaining. He is, taking that nosebleed energy and bringing it down to courtside, which, the New York Times wrote about this, and I really, really agree with it, that we usually see people who sit courtside being these stuffy executives. And Drake is letting go of all of that, and he's just being a fan, and he is representing me on those sidelines, and I love it. And, he's also doing his job. He's getting in the heads of our opponents, and him and Draymond Green were trash talking to each other, and then Draymond Green was not able to shut down Pascal Siakam. So he did his job.
You have strong feelings on this. Stacey, you mentioned your bandwagon jumper. Let me tell you, it's not typical in the NBA to have a superstar musician at courtside doing what Drake does. How do you feel about what you're seeing?
I also love him. I think Drake has so many feelings, and they're very representative of my feelings. Like I mentioned, I'm finding myself shouting at these refs, and I don't totally always know that I'm right or that I've interpreted the rules correctly, but I feel them deeply. And I like seeing that represented. I think his pettiness is hilarious. I think wearing Del Curry's jersey last night was the best power move. Like, that was the best flex of all time.
I think his pettiness is, whatever you said, fantastic. That's very interesting.
Agreed.
But Donovan, you're with Sportsnet. You're a former college athlete. Give me the sports perspective on this, because I've heard some people in the sports journalism community who are kind of split on having anybody, much less Drake, do what he does courtside.
Yeah, I think you need to ask that person, well, when were they born? What's their birth certificate? Because this is a divisive issue based on how old you are. And the basketball consumption in this country, and really the NBA, is heavily, heavily millennial. Millennials are 70% more likely to sit down and watch a basketball game in Canada than a baby boomer. And so naturally, Drake, the king of all things millennial, who's been a fan of this team since he was Aubrey, he is passionate and he is in his feelings at times about this team. And this is a way that the NBA is different from the NHL or Major League Baseball. They embrace celebrity culture because they understand that when they're trending, good, bad, or indifferent, it's good for everyone. So really, this is the most NBA millennial story you'll have. And it's not really that surprising that Drake is part of the story, even though old school journalists don't like it.
And I think that it's important to distinguish Drake from other random fans. He is the global ambassador of the Toronto Raptors. He has done a lot for the cultural cachet of this team, to bring up the cool factor of this team, which is a part of the NBA and a part of this league. And so, you know, him getting up close and personal with Nick Nurse is different than another fan doing that, and I think that distinction is important.
Well, to that point,
all of you are passionate. I wish we could all sit courtside, but we'll have to watch, at least in my case, on TV. Thank you very much for telling us why you love the Raptors.
thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.